Scotia are doing having a little bit warmer weather than we are. I had a good summer. Hope you all did. I'm so pleased to be back with you guys to have chats about some additional topics now this fall. So we're going to start out today talking about, for this session and the next one, about building client relationships. So we're going to be focusing on what you can do from a customer service perspective. And again, you guys do this stuff. This is going to be a refresh, a chance to sit back for 45 minutes now, maybe 45 minutes in a few weeks, to sort of say, what can we do a little differently? Maybe look at things from a new way, assess yourselves, and see what you could do more of. I know I've worked in your industry. I know all the great work everyone does, but sometimes things stop us from doing exactly what we need to be doing from a customer service or a client perspective. So what I want you to do over the next 45 is to really think about what can change. Okay, and also your strengths. We're going to have a little assessment in here as well, where you can do some self-assessment and see what makes sense for you and your team. So just a reminder for everyone to mute for background noise would be excellent. And we'll start out. So for the first session, we're going to be focusing a little bit more on just general customer service. What is it? What's your client? What are your client's expectations? What does that new client experience need to be? And also what stops us. So we'll get a little bit into that. The next session, we'll talk a little bit more detail around how to build rapport, what that looks like, and how to deal with difficult clients. So that's obviously a big one. We'll have some scenarios in the second one, once we've dug a little deeper, to really think about what we do and what we could do differently in terms of dealing with those difficult ones. And, you know, hey, we've all been probably the difficult client or the difficult customer at some point. So, or vice versa, we've had to deal with them. I know we all have. So we'll start out by just talking a little bit about you guys. And you can send these in the chat box. You can certainly send this to everyone or just send it to me, and I can read it out without saying who it's from. I want you to really think about, for whoever you're with or if you're by yourself, one thing that makes you really proud to work where you are. So what is it that makes you really proud to work there? So we'll start with that one, but then I'm going to get you to do something that your organization does really well for its customers, and one thing you could do more or less of. So in other words, what's something you do more of or change a little bit to better meet the needs of your customer? So just sort of self-reflect for a second. First of all, what makes you proud to work where you are? See if you can put a few things in the chat. Nice. Excellent. Someone said part of the community, here to support local business. Excellent. So really feeling connected, offering a service that we all have to have, and supporting our communities and businesses. Excellent. Anyone else? See if you can send it. Even just to me is fine. Ooh, nice. Respect. Excellent. Just feeling respected, maybe being respectful. Amazing. And again, you know, this shows up in all of our communities, and we get to know about the businesses in our local communities. Yeah, I mean, being a local community, someone just said as well, right? Just, you know, being part of a local company, contributing to the local environment. And I mean, I'm sure you guys must look at the news and see what some of your, I guess, industry colleagues would be doing down in Florida Panhandle and all those places now in terms of claims and all the chaos that's going to be going in down there right now. So understanding that they're all helping their own communities, right? So that's really great to hear. And just give me one more. Great colleagues, love it. It's part of why we get up in the morning and go in to do the work we do. You know, pride in company, pride in what you guys do, although it's often understated. Many people don't always go in and thank their insurance broker. but having said that, yeah, having great people to work with is amazing. I actually do work, I think of you guys sort of like having worked in your industry, more in an HR and leadership capacity, but I think of you guys when I work with municipalities as well, there's with municipalities, which some of you may work with as well, kind of the unsung heroes in many ways, right? We don't always get the the positive feedback we deserve. Okay, so, oh, an excellent supportive team. Excellent. Yeah, that makes all the difference in the world. So think about the customer now. So you're a customer or client, whatever word you use. So what do you do well, right? Give me one thing. If you actually had to go out to a client and say, what's one thing you do well, what would it be? Just send those along. Excellent service. And my challenge would be, in what way? So how do you bring excellent service? Is there anything specific that you do? Ooh, listening. Time to explain the details. Yes, and I'm not a detail person, so I completely thank you all for that, for those that I've worked with in terms of being my broker. And listen to the client. That's an amazing one. We are going to talk about that a little bit today and definitely next session in terms of what that looks like and how that can actually help build rapport, how it can help you in learning more about your clients and how you can meet those needs. It's one of the critical things that you have to do. Product knowledge, yes, because I can tell you as a layman, I don't know your business. I need to know the product. I don't know it. So that's why you go to a broker, because you're going to find me what I need and the best person to offer it to me. Excellent. So what's one thing you could do a little differently? So again, I'm out there. We met at an airport somewhere. I'm saying, yeah, so what's one thing that you guys should do a little bit more of for customer service? And again, you don't have to share. You can just send it to me. Or this could be about yourself as well. Oh, someone said stop being in a rush. The world is not going to slow down. It's crazy out there. I mean, how we balance our lives, and that's going to be a significant part of customer service. I'm so glad you said that, because customer service, we show up a certain way, and no matter how much we try to hide it, if we're stressed out or whatever, it shows. It really does show. Whether we try to, unless you're on a very quick conversation with somebody, if you're talking to a client for any period of time or working with them, they can tell when you're not yourself. So yeah, being in a rush, having that sort of stress factor plays on us as humans and employees, and it does affect our customer service. And yeah, how many people here, and you have to answer this, but how many people here really, someone's got, less multitasking, probably spending more time with clients? How many times do you have it where you're caught in all the, administration component and you just want to be talking to your client? You want to be able to spending that time with your clients. That's another element to think about, right? How often do you actually not get to a customer when you should because you're doing other things? And is that the best way to serve your clients? Obviously, we have to balance, of course. You still have to get some of those things done. Always greeting them in a warm and welcoming manner as well, which is commented on. And again, how does your head show up, right? Are you in that way, and how do you be that way when you need to be with a client, which is challenging for all of us, even myself, who's trained in doing that. I'm trained in being very self-aware and showing up a certain way. It's not always the case. Excellent. Thank you for all that. It just sort of gets us starting to think about how we show up, and some of the comments were fabulous around how we show up and how that shows up to our clients. So when we think about customer service, I mean, customer service affects everything. So clients, whether we're a customer at Best Buy, which I'll talk about in a second, or you're a customer with another company, another organization, whatever it is, everywhere you go, you're a customer in one way, shape, or form, even in a nonprofit entity as an example. So if I go off to Best Buy, which I did not too long ago, and I had to go look for a new laptop for our home. And so I went in, and I'm a pretty quick decision maker. So I kind of did a little research. It's all very overwhelming. And if anyone has ever done anything with regard to computers and you're not tech savvy, it's so confusing to know what you actually need and what you don't need. So anyway, I had a basic idea, walk into Best Buy, and nice fella, chatted with a fella for a couple minutes. He didn't seem completely tech savvy. He couldn't really recommend anything as much as just listen to what my needs were. And yeah, we have this one, or we have this one, or we have this one. Anyway, so say half an hour later, I made a decision on one. It was an open box. It was a little bit cheaper. And I kind of went, okay, fair enough. I'll just pick this one. So I left the store, and I generally don't have buyer's remorse. And I didn't really have buyer's remorse as much as, I don't know if anyone's had this feeling. You can tell me if you have. You're kind of like, are they commission-based? did I just get fleeced? Do I feel like this person had the technical knowledge that I needed? Did they actually help me as best they could? I had that moment of, I think I was kind of on my own here, and did I get the customer service I needed? And because of that, do I feel confident in what I just purchased? Thankfully, so far it's worked out okay, but you have that sense of not joy from the experience, not pleasure from the experience. I had a question mark from the experience. And honestly, if I have to buy another laptop, if I could go somewhere where I could get all those things that you guys offer, like the technical expertise, to someone to talk to me, and just someone had mentioned with a warm and welcoming manner, having some suggestions and expertise where they can actually offer, here's what I think based on your needs, you're going to have, you should buy, and hear from whom, as a broker, from whom. That's really, really important. And that's what I did not get there. Now, I'm not saying that that's what they want to have there, but it certainly left me with a feeling of lacking. So when I look at this, what in your minds, give me some words or descriptions. When you think about the last time you went out to purchase anything, from a house to socks, what would it be to be, so that green, you can see the right-hand side, what's the green? What would be green? What would be green to you? What would you need to have to feel that you've had a great customer experience? As a customer, you've had a great experience. Oh, product availability, that's a good one. Yes, I ended up just picking what was available. Not always the best route. Personal opinion, good or bad. Yes, price. Price is key, and also someone be able to understand what you want. Know what you purchased. Yes, for IT, I have no idea what I bought. Value for money, absolutely. So for what I'm looking for, am I paying too much for my computer? Am I paying too little for my computer? Excellent. So, and for your customers, I mean, let's face it, if I'm going in and paying for insurance, it's not as tangible. It's just something I have to pay for. How do I know I'm getting good value, but I'm getting exactly what I need? And as one of your customers, that is significant for me. Looking at, someone said they're just looking at you're the number one priority, and they're looking out for your best interests. Are you just a customer with a number? Are you just policy number X? Or do you feel that without spending a hideous amount of time with other peers and chatting about my kids and everything else, how can you create that rapport and feel like, yes, you are the priority. I'm listening to you, I'm here for you, and I'm going to do best I can for you. That's amazing. I love that. Thank you. So at the other end of the spectrum, what's the worst? So think about a difficult one you've had over the years. What ticked you off the most? Attitude, love it. It's amazing. I find you guys have you're in a competitive industry. Some places, some things you want to buy, there's not as much competitive industry. I find sometimes you can definitely get some attitude because they know they're the only player in town or the biggest player in town. Not being able to speak to someone. Oh, that's always fun too. Yeah, I've had that experience as well. Not knowing details of what they're selling. Yes, again, my Best Buy experience, the person didn't really know a lot. A know-it-all who doesn't know anything. Love that. Thank you for that. Yes, a typical salesperson. Come on, we all know who that person is, right? What is it about them? It's an arrogance that's not deserved in most cases, right? It's a sense of, I know everything and you don't know anything, so you better listen to me. That's excellent. Thank you. And again, how do you want your customers to get off the phone or walk out of your office or whatever type of experience they have with you or your team? And how do you want to make them feel? What do you want them to say if I ask them these same questions? Right now, again, you guys would have different markets, different types of customers you're dealing with. So it may look different. If you're in the claims department, it may be a slightly different feeling, or people may think differently when they finish working with you. I was reading an article around customer service and claim, and just they mentioned something about our insurance company about claims, and it was an interesting story about the person who was in claims actually ended up being an account manager, and what they did was they had been such an effective claims professional. Even when something was denied, it was done in such a very respectful, communicative way that when he moved into an account management role, he actually just called all those old clients that he worked on claims with. and he ended up being the top salesperson the following year. Now, again, that's not always going to happen, but again, taking that customer service mindset from a claims perspective and dealing with people in their worst hour and sometimes getting denied, which is so difficult for everyone, including yourselves, to the opposite end of the spectrum of how do you actually make that as enjoyable as it possibly be. So that's excellent. I appreciate that. So let's talk about your definitions for you. Again, you can just do this in the, I don't have a little survey set up, but where do you think you fall or your team falls? You can decide. So where do you fall? If we were in person, I make people do stickies on this one. Where do you sticky yourself? So do you think you're more, you know, what section? Everyone tends to lean to the good to up to excellent, but be very frank with yourselves. Whether you tell me or not, where do you fall? And in what areas do you fall? So a lot of you know there's some areas where you probably would be not good. So where overall, though, do you and your team fall? So see if a few people, even the private chat, can send along where they think they are. Give me a sense of your thoughts. Okay, got someone who says overall very good, so that's good. So they're in the light green. Who else do we have? Another light green, excellent. Maybe a few more, get a better sense. And don't worry, I'm not gonna, if you said not good, I'm not gonna say why. Maybe one more. Okay, so we have another, good, so yellow. So it's actually really, this is a good exercise, whether you use this graphic or another graphic like it, to use with your team. Take some stickies and actually just say to them, or tell, you know, get them to write on a sticky where it needs to be, so that they're not influenced by people around them, and get them to actually put the stickies up and see where it is. And you will find there's actually quite a variation, generally speaking. Oh, we've got someone very good and excellent for sure. I love that. But again, you will see a variation. Some people will have different opinions on what that is. And again, why? Understanding what's behind that, why one person thinks the team is excellent, whereas another person thinks maybe the team isn't as good, right? So what is that standard that you have set? And do people know what that standard is? Do they know that they need to speak a certain way, act a certain way, or have that sort of experience for a client? And what does it look like for them? Okay, so it's really great exercise for you guys to think about. Simple, easy, a little quick, sort of like almost like an opening to a meeting you're having, just to get sort of a temperature gauge on how everyone is. One thing I found when I've dealt with everyone from an HR department trying to get them to be more client worthy to working with salespeople, I find that not everyone really knows who their client is. So if you're dealing directly with businesses or individuals in terms of providing your services, providing your advice, your counsel, the best product, the best price, the best match, all that sort of thing, it's much easier. But who is everyone's customer? Now, I find your industry generally is better, but it's worth thinking about. If you're in a larger entity, sometimes this can get lost. I'm hoping the smaller ones, even the person who's in the corner desk that, you know, doesn't talk to clients, do they know who their customer is? Because every single person on the planet who's working has a customer. So how do they know what that customer is? You know, do they know? Ask them. Who is everyone's customer? If you're dealing with any administrative folks on your team or anything, do they know how are they just serving someone else who serves a customer? Well, what does that mean? It actually means that the person they're serving is their customer. So really a simple little question, if you have a larger group, who's your customer? And really to think about that, it's really significant to really understand that. And here's the other piece, is there more than one? Okay, you are in a very interesting world of dealing with companies and dealing with individuals. You're sort of that middleman who kind of creates some calm out of the chaos, as I like to think about it. So who's your customer? Are there customers on both ends? I don't know. I mean, you guys can decide. Is there a customer, you know, you're a Are you a supplier? Do you have a customer? How do you view the insurance companies? How should you view the insurance companies, right? What does that look like for you? So it's just worth thinking about because how you work with a customer should be the same in any way, shape, or form. So those basic standards that you set as an organization, are they the same in all the different areas that you work? Maybe you've got other types of partnerships with other companies. You know, do you need to consider them your customer in some sort of way in terms of standards? So just to think about. Now, in terms of, it drives me crazy as a leadership team expert, as an HR person, as a person who had her own business for many years, seeing job ads, I just love it. I always ask people, so what's it mean? So need to possess excellent customer service skills. Have you ever seen a job that doesn't say that? I can also, if you have, let me know, because I've never seen one that doesn't have that. It could say client service skills. It could be something along those lines. Unless it's something really back end, generally everybody who deals with anybody, they say they need customer service skills. Like communication skills, it's just a rampant. So what are those skills? They say customer service skills. There's so many of them. So what do you think those skills are? So if you had that in a job ad for your organization, just pop out some little things that you think they are. What would excellent customer service skills be for an employee? Good listener. Yes, huge. And how often do we test for that or ask for that when you're interviewing? Interesting, hey? Do we actually try to figure that out? Do we actually gauge for that? It's probably one of the most common ones that I see that isn't tested for. We've got polite, yes, hanging out, so many here. Good listener, good attitude, yes, which is not always the case and doesn't always show up in an interview, whether that's true or not. Telephone etiquette. Do they actually know? And I mean, don't judge people. Some people just don't know how to do it. They don't know how to create rapport over the phone. They don't know how to connect with people over the phone. And polite, yeah, what does that mean? How does that show up, especially when things are getting difficult and someone's getting off the rails in terms of their emotions? And good question, friendly. Now, we're in Atlantic Canada, so what does friendly mean? Could be very different from what it means elsewhere in Canada, right? How we see things could be different. So again, what does it need to be with your client base, your customer base? And someone coming in who maybe is not as familiar with your environment and your culture in Atlantic Canada or within Nova Scotia, they need to know what that is. What's the expectation of someone who's in the valley? Is it different? I don't know, right? So you'd have to think about that. Respectful and, patient, there's a good one. For all the things that you guys do, patience would be significant. And especially because you're dealing with people with regards to something they have to pay for, where they can't always see and touch it. The comments I know you get, and having to deal with difficult situations. So patience is definitely a virtue, for sure. Listener, let's see what else we got here. Don't judge the client. Yes, we're going to talk about that this session and the next one, whether we get to it right away. Don't judge the client. Come on. We know that you do. We know that I do. We know we all do. We all judge people. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. Some of you have been through my sessions before, and we're just going to tackle a couple of reminders there about how we judge and create assumptions. So tone of voice, never sound annoyed. That's, again, hard to do when you have someone possibly yelling. And again, they can be quite abusive. So, all right. Now, is it different? So question for you. Certain industries will say that it's different in their world. Is it different in your world? If I was coming from another industry, is it at all different in yours? Yes or no? What do you think? Okay, I've got one yes. Anyone else? Yes or no? All right, I got a bunch of yeses. The customer's the customer. Yes, so true. Okay, so if it is a little different, yes, you don't have a tangible product. Yeah, so what makes it different? So what's the skill? So if you're hiring someone or if you're talking to your teams, what's really significant for them to focus on? If they're coming from another industry or, just if you're customer service in the retail sector, is that the same? If not, what is it that skills they need that are different? Can you think of anything specific that they would need that would be different? I can probably say one that was said before. Extreme patience and not judging. Yes, everything's, oh, that's such a great one. Someone said everything is a hypothetical situation. It's intangible. So it's, yeah, and so because of that, and someone said empathetic, yeah, because of that, yeah, how do you actually show up maybe very different? You don't have something right in front of people. So if people are looking in terms of customer service, how do you make it a great experience when they can't touch it, they can't feel it, and they may never have to take advantage of it, but they have to pay for it? I mean, you're right. It absolutely has an understanding of knowing your client is significant in your world, if that's safe to say. You know, understanding their needs so that they feel protected, but they also feel listened to, all those other regular customer service things. So that's excellent. I appreciate that. Yeah, it is. So it is a little unique in every industry. You know, I hear different things. You know, is it really different or not? Excellent. All right. If we move on here. So what specifically do your customers want? So they're going out, you know, what do they want? What are their expectations? What would be some of the key expectations that they would have for your roles in this industry? Oh, love that. Trust. Excellent. Yes, the money piece always going to come in, right? It's so unknown, and I'm someone who doesn't know your world, and I can say it's very overwhelming. And the trust is key. I mean, imagine now being fleeced for a computer is one thing, but to feel fleeced in the sense that it's this intangible product, I can't touch it. You know, this person I think gave me, I think they listened to what I needed. I mean, it could be, you know, an exceptionally disheartening experience if you feel fleeced in insurance. This is something that affects our lives, that affects who we are, like everything that we have and own, and also our families and how we can support them in really stressful times, just like the people now with Hurricane Michael. So understanding that and feeling that trust, like I know my person is looking out for my best interests. Absolutely. Identifying the customer's need is huge. I mean, there's lots of standard stuff that you guys know you're going to have, and you know, I know in the commercial space it gets a little bit more nuanced, but you know, even as an individual purchasing insurance or getting what I need to protect my family, risk management, understanding my needs is critical. And if someone can actually understand my need and I feel listened to and I feel like they're really representing my interests and that trust is there, there's your dark green in terms of customer experience, right? So there's all those pieces. Oh yes, simple language. Yeah, a lot of things you guys have, most of us don't really understand because we don't deal with it every day. Some of us in our businesses might have insurance and we have a better understanding, but most of us don't. So using simple language, someone said, and real life examples to explain. That's a great idea. And confident in what you do, how you present, and confident in how you can protect and help others. Yeah, really significant. So yeah, you're right. And it is a little unique in your world. So it's a tough one to be in. Okay, so I have a little story for you. If you haven't seen this before, if you have, it's kind of fun to see again. This is a story of 4 people named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was asked to do it. Everybody was sure somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. Now, can you relate to that? Just put a little note if you can, with regard to how it could be affecting customer service. Everyone knows about customer service. Everyone would have a sense of what needs to be done, but does everybody do it? Does it happen sometimes that everybody assumes everyone else is doing it? What do you think? Does this hold true with customer service? Okay, I got one yes. Yeah, got some yeses. And another one. Excellent. It's something where this is sort of an accountability really statement. It's a little story around accountability, but it's something that really holds true, I think, with customer service. We all understand in concept what it is. We may and hopefully understand what it means in our company, right? Specifically, what are we supposed to do in our company? But again, do we do it? And do we do it on a frequent basis? Do other things get in the way? But let's face it, customer service, if it doesn't happen in the right way, that client perspective is everything, right? How they view us is their reality, right? So if they see us a certain way or whatever happens, it's going to affect it no matter how great whatever products you have or you can supply through the companies or how much you can fit it, it doesn't really matter. If you don't feel that connection, you don't feel that trust, you don't feel like all those things you said that you have to deliver, it's not going to get them. So it's about everyone, every single person, whether they're working or they're they're out doing other things and talking about the company that they work in. Now, there's different types of customers. So in terms of our client service, you really need to think about different elements. We have different types of clients. We have clients who are, if you look at their, this one here, you sort of say they're coming in with high or low expectations. Okay, somebody may be just shopping around. So they're coming in, pretty low, see what it's all about. There's some other people where maybe they've heard great things about you and they don't even know you yet and they're coming in with high expectations. Or maybe they've been with you for years and the expectations are really high. So either way, whether they come in with high or low, they will end up with one experience or another. They will end up with a great experience or they will end up with a poor experience. And of course, we know we want everyone to come in on the right side. Right? They're going to have a great experience. The question is, do they come in with high expectations or low? Some people, and you and I know, come in with expectations that are just unachievable. Like there's no way we can meet them, maybe from a price perspective. Maybe you can't meet them from there's no products or combination of products that can actually make that work. We can do our best and we can go to the companies and get quotes and see what we can do, but their expectations are just way out of whack maybe for what the market is. So you're going to have one of those. But if they have a great experience, what does that great experience mean? So that person come in with high expectations. You can't deliver them, but maybe you do it in a way that still creates a great experience. And I think about that when I think, not to get to claims again, but if someone comes in with expectations, like I've paid for my policy for years and I feel like trust them, they're going to be there. My house is completely flooded and I need them. And I could come out with a great experience. Somebody who's maybe never dealt with before, maybe scared to death coming in with low, but you want them to be on that side. So they'll be devoted customers and delighted customers. Like, wow, that was an amazing experience. We also know that sometimes that one poor experience is going to give us disappointed customers that had high expectations, or they just don't care. They really don't care. But that one touch point makes all the difference, because how often, unless it's a claim, how often are you keeping in touch with people? If they're your biggest client, you'll talk to them a lot. If not, or they'll be calling in, you probably won't, because most of us, like me, I just pretty well on renewal. If I have a question, that's pretty much it as an individual versus a business. So it kind of gives you an idea of where you want to be. The question is, how are you delivering? So customer is not always right, but they're always the customer. So what do you think of that? So is that something that you believe? At the end of the day, as I think I've got coming up here in a minute, they actually pay our bills. Everything that we touch them on, even if they're not right, we have to work with them as a customer. And this is where our own emotions get into play. This is where we get into trouble sometimes. And especially if someone's really irate. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next session around how to calm someone down. We've talked about it a little bit before in terms of employees, but it's a little different with customers, right? We don't have that ongoing relationship with customers. So where are the boundaries with customers, right? They are always the customer. They're always going to be there, and we have to work with them. It's kind of sad but true. All right, some customer service truths. We'll see what we can get through now in the next little bit. So they do sign our paycheck. They do. The reason why we're in business, the reason why you're successful or you guys are making money as an organization is because of the customer. And sometimes in our mayhem of all the things we have to do, especially if you're in a leadership role or if you're in a back-end role that has a lot of reporting or analytics to do, it's very easy to stop thinking about that because of all the things that are on your desk. But if we don't, eventually something's going to give and it's going to affect your paycheck. So think about it that way. Courtesy does count, right? I think my mom would be happy I put that one in. Attitude, which came up a couple of times, is everything. So, and that sounds so easy, but so hard sometimes if you're having a super bad day or things are going badly or the person's being really negative or belligerent. Make sure yours is positive. How do you show up positively? So how many people here would say the majority of their work is done on the phone? Okay, so we got one for sure. Who else? Do you find a lot of it's done on the phone? Ah, someone's got a lot of email, lots done by email. Okay, some other people are more in person. It makes a difference. Less and less by phone. Interesting. So the question is less and less by phone. That person will be curious to see if it's also done through technology as well. Technology does change things to some extent. In my opinion, it doesn't, make the connections I want to make with a professional. But again, it's happening more and more often for convenience. But how do you have to have a positive attitude? How does it show up? So how do I know that someone has got that positive attitude on the phone? Tone. Yes, tone. Absolutely. Tone of voice is huge. Absolutely on the phone. And here's the opposite side of it. It's very easy to get distracted on the phone, right? It's very easy because you've got all these things around you and the client's not looking at you. When you're in front of a client, you would like to think that you're in their office or they're in your office and you're looking at them and you're talking to them directly. On the phone, sometimes it can be very distracting. So again, if it's tone, yeah, glass is half full. How do you look at the positive side, right? How do people know it if it's in the tone? How do you make sure you don't get distracted as well, right? So what's some things you guys do? Oh yeah, someone said they're taught to smile when speaking on the phone. It actually does work, by the way. They've done some research. Yeah, it actually does make a huge difference if you're actually smiling, which I am right now, which you might be able to hear. So, if you're on the phone, what are some things that actually distract you or keep you from getting distracted? What are some tips or tricks you guys have? Oh yeah, emails coming in are really hard. It's, if you've heard of Pavlov and Pavlov's dog, it's incredible how distracting email is. When you look at efficiency and productivity at work, it is the most, as much as we need it to function, it is what makes us the least efficient, which is extraordinary. Oh, cell phones, there's a good one. And talking, yes, there's a great self-awareness. So I think it said other people in the office talking. So what do? Yeah, clients in the office waiting. Oh, there you go. That's very distracting. Somebody closes their door, they said, right? If you can, that's great. You might be in a space where you're open concept space. It's tough to do. Personally, I actually close my eyes. Like I'll say to my kids sometimes, you got to stop talking because I can't see if I'm trying to focus on something, right? So what we have to understand is how distractible we are because it shows up. How many people here are on the phone or are with clients and when the person is getting lost, they're just not listening anymore, right? How often does that happen? So, so how do you do that? You have to think about how you need to focus, what distracts you, and how to minimize that distraction. Because let's face it, it's going to happen. Even if your door is closed, there's bound to be distractions out there. And again, one thing I'll say from a listening perspective is, don't be hard on yourself. We're going to, be distracted. You can only keep anyone's attention maximum, and I know this because I facilitate a lot of sections, 2 to 3 minutes, up to around 7 minutes. People will be lost after that for some period of time. So don't be hard on yourself if you do. Just focus on, oh, wow, that's loud out there. I got to get back to focusing on my client. And how do I do that? Again, some people have headsets, or something, a plug they put in their other ear if they're on a headset. So there's lots of things you can think about, but you have to decide what you need. Some people can zone out everything and some people can't. So you are the organization. Whenever I talk to somebody, I find it extraordinary when someone says something about the company they work in, and I kind of go, wow, that's really public space, and it's something about your organization that's super negative. Wow, do you know that everybody out here is thinking you are the representative of the organization? You are the person that is this insurance company or this insurance broker, and whatever you say makes a difference. So every time you are out and you represent the organization. So understanding that, and even if you're someone who doesn't talk to clients on the phone or in any way, shape, or form, you represent them in every way that you do. I have a great video, which I found videos don't really work well here, but you can hear them. A really good video around as soon as people walk in the door. So we communicate. So how do we communicate when someone walks in the door? So think about your reception areas that you have. So what do you want to see as a customer? What do you want to see when you walk in the door? Okay, so you're seeing body language. So what would I see? So if I walk in to your office tomorrow, what would I want to see? Now, we're all uniquely different in what we want, but what do you think I would want to see? I would want to see a smile. Absolutely. You know me well. Some of you. Friendly reception. So what does that mean? Attentive. Friendly greeting. Oh, that's great. And what could that be? So say the receptionist is on the phone. How can they greet me? Yeah. It could be eye contact. It could be a little wave and like a little finger up to say, I'll be right with you, just a minute kind of thing. Absolutely. And how often do you think I don't get that when I walk into professional environments like yours? Do you think I see that often? Yes, I see it a lot. And you've seen it too. Whatever, I mean, professional services environments, it's elevated. Okay. If I'm going into a retail store and someone's busy unloading, I don't know, shoes in the back or something, I'm not going to have the same expectation. If I go into a professional services environment like yours, I have an expectation. I really do. And I don't think anyone out there would say any different. I could be wrong, right? But from a customer service perspective, where I've worked and seen, it definitely is something that they expect. And hey, maybe that receptionist is having a bad morning and they've just had two people yell at them, right? It's tough to do, but how do we remind ourselves, right, to do that and make that connection? And what's comfortable for them, right? I'm very I gesture a lot. Even when I'm talking to you, I'm gesturing. I'm by myself in my office. But again, right, gesturing to someone, little finger, whatever it takes for them to feel comfortable. And sometimes you need to ask people who are front line like that, so how, what did that customer see? What do you think they should have seen? Because, but not to be judgmental, just to be, self-aware of how we're coming across. So keeping an open mind is huge. And this is a really great quote. Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. How many people here, again, you can do it through private chat, how many people here actually have consistent customer surveys or ways to get information from customers? Anyone have consistent customer service surveys or ways to collect that information? Okay, so somebody says not very often. The thing is too, it's a little bit daunting. We've talked feedback if you've heard me talk before, and we'll comment briefly later on the session about feedback. But when you think about how do we get feedback is everything, it's scary. It's very scary. And you and I know that the ones we often will not say when things go really well. Atlantic Canadians were pretty polite. But if things go off the rails, yes, we probably hear about them. But again, learning from your worst customer could be very small. It could be, look, this is a customer that's really belligerent and rude and disrespectful, and we don't want to work with this person anyway. The learning could be, how do we not get this type of person again? How do we know how to cut them off earlier? To be very blunt. It could also be around, is there a grain of truth here? Are we getting some themes? Despite the fact that it might be coming from the most vocal customers, is there a theme? Are we hearing something similar over time? How do you do that, right? So yeah, someone said, they've got emails that request a Google review. Absolutely, right? And again, those nasty ones are a moment of learning, right? To see, can we find something new? All right, so we know all this. We know that, again, customer service, I think everyone has the basic concepts. What stops us from doing it the way we know we should? Yes. Oh, wow, look, 3-round time. Imagine. So here's the question then. If we look at time constraints, if you had to rate it 1 to 10, so you say time's an issue. So you're rating it 1 to 10. How important is this 1 to 10 to make sure you get it right? 9. Excellent. Anyone else? All right. These 2 9s there. 10. So here's the kicker in this, like another 9 and a 10. So if it's that important, what needs to change so that you can actually deliver that service to the customer? And I'm not saying this is easy. I'm just saying really reflect and say, what's stopping us? So again, look at what's stopping you as a team, as an individual. Is it the phones? Is it this? Is there a better way of doing that? Is there a way that someone can support you so you can talk with customers more? When I worked inside an organization, in a global insurance house or company or whatever you want to call it, brokerage, it was very much something when we looked for employees, a little thing that I found. So we would actually go through, I don't know if there's anyone from the company on here, but the company would actually, we were out of the US at the time, and since then it's gone to the UK. But we would have to send, you know, when things got really tight, and you know what it's like, right? The market changes and things get really tight. Everything had to be approved and had to go to head office in the US. So every time there was something that got pushed up, from a small job to whatever, anybody who got hired had to go through. And I can tell you right now, if you can prove, I never had one, I worked with the managers, I was in HR, but I worked with the managers and everything to come up with business cases to make it so that we could actually get extra bodies, even in a tough market, right? How did we make that happen? Is we had to prove to them that it was going to give us more time with our clients and it was going to increase the business. So if you know that more face time with your clients, okay, assuming this is the correlation here, more face time with my clients, more time to talk to clients to get referrals, more time to deal with clients maybe in claim situations, whatever it might be, if that's going to help you grow the business, why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we reaching out? Or maybe there's other resources in the organization you can use, or what is it? This is where you got to brainstorm and say, it's a 9 or 10. Why aren't we getting there? Why aren't we focusing that to that extent, right? So again, I'm not saying everyone should be doing things differently, but it's really time to reflect and say, what is it we need to really do to increase that customer experience if we know it's going to hit our bottom line, right? So, and by the sound of it, a lot of you work with clients, and chances are that's probably, hopefully, a lot of what you like in your job, right? Especially when you're talking to clients you've had for years, and when you're delivering a great service, a product, and you're actually being a professional advisor. It's kind of exciting. It's really a cool business to be in many ways, because you're affecting people in their day, you're affecting their personal lives, right? But what stops us is all the other stuff. So how do we need to reshape our priorities? Again, easier said than done. I'm just saying it could start a conversation for you. Okay, we're going to finish up. Oh, yeah, I'm a little over time. Sorry. Last one, though, I just wanted to show this to you. I wanted to show you something from a very different environment. I do work with municipalities as well. In terms of industries I work in. And this one caught my eye. What would you find interesting or surprising about this one? Just read through. What do you like or find interesting? Yeah, internally and externally. Absolutely. They actually say that, which I think is excellent. And I can tell you, as someone outside, to know that you're looking at your employees and your colleagues potentially as customers, it's kind of exciting, isn't it? It's kind of neat. It's, you know, while serving all customers in all aspects of our business. It's really, and the fact that they call it a business, which I thought was great. Trust me, when I put this up in a municipality to have a look at, they kind of thought that was most interesting. But they talk about customers in a municipal environment. It's not about residents or taxpayers. It's actually treated as customers. Everybody on the planet has a customer. I work with nonprofits that call it customers because it gives a sense of what do we need to do for our customer, right? What is it? And it is a business. Are we doing something in an organization to provide something to somebody? Absolutely. Then it's a business. So I just thought that was kind of interesting to think about. So they're going to that level. They actually have I things called one customer or customer statement, which is really long, which explains all their customer service philosophy and what they're actually committing to for their customers. So how many people have that? How many people have a statement, just to think about, how many people have a statement that really reflect how they view their customers? And do you have any commitments to your customers? A little scary, I know, but it's worth thinking about. Do you have that? Do you say it? And supposedly in the city of Brantford, they actually do speak this way with residents. So I thought that was kind of interesting to end on, to sort of, for this time anyway. Next time we're going to do our little self-assessment to start out. We're going to get into building rapport. We're going to talk about difficult customers because they're the biggest challenge for us. All right, any comments or things you liked here, please let me know in the chat. And I apologize, I'm a little over, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks very much, everyone. I'll stay on in case there's any questions.